It was a small town where life moved slowly, but for Ian, everything felt alive the day he saw Hera for the first time. She had just transferred to his school, carrying her books close to her chest, with eyes that seemed to hold a world of untold stories. Ian was known to be quiet, the kind of boy who kept to himself. But Hera, she was different. Her laughter could light up the dullest day, and her kindness made her stand out from everyone else. Slowly, without realizing it, Ian's heart began to beat only for her. At first, he admired her from afar, watching how she helped her classmates, how she always sat near the window, lost in thought. But destiny had its way of pulling them together. One afternoon, as the rain poured heavily, Hera forgot her umbrella. Ian, though nervous, stepped forward and shared his. That single moment under the rain became the beginning of something neither of them could forget. Days turned into weeks, and soon their friendship blossomed into something deeper. They studied together, laughed together, and in the quiet moments, their hands would brush, sending shivers through their young hearts. To Ian, Hera wasn't just his classmate anymore, she was his first love, the one who made him believe that some feelings were meant to last forever. But life is never as simple as it seems. Hera's father, a strict man with high expectations, never liked distractions. He wanted his daughter to focus on her future, not on childish emotions. When he found out about Ian and Hera's closeness, he put an end to it immediately. One evening, with tears in her eyes, Hera stood in front of Ian and whispered, "I'm sorry. I have to go." She didn't explain, but Ian understood. His heart broke silently as he watched her walk away, knowing that sometimes love isn't enough to fight against fate. That night, Ian stood under the same rain where their story began, wondering if destiny would ever give them another chance. What he didn't know was that this was only the beginning. Years would pass, lives would change, but their story was far from over. 10 long years passed since that rainy evening when Hera walked out of Ian's life. He buried himself in his studies, worked hard, and eventually built a quiet, stable life as a teacher in the very same town where he once dreamed with her. But no matter how much time went by, a part of him never healed. Some nights, he still found himself staring at the window, remembering the laughter they once shared, wondering where life had taken her. One chilly morning, Ian was walking to school when he noticed a familiar car stop by the town square. A woman stepped out, graceful, confident, and elegant. For a moment, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. But when she turned, his heart skipped a beat. It was her. Hera. She looked different, more mature, her presence carrying a strength he had never seen before. But her eyes, those same eyes that once held all his world, hadn't changed. Ian froze, torn between running to her and turning away. But fate didn't give him a choice. Hera noticed him. Their eyes met across the busy street, and in that instant, 10 years melted away. "Ian," she whispered softly when she finally stood in front of him. Her voice trembled, as if she herself couldn't believe he was real. He nodded slowly, his throat too tight to speak. "Hera, it's been a long time." There was silence, filled only by the sound of the wind brushing past them. Both carried questions, regrets, and memories, but neither knew where to begin. As they walked together through the old streets of their town, every corner brought back memories: the cafe where they once studied, the library where they shared whispers, the park where they laughed under the stars. But Ian couldn't help but notice a sadness in her eyes, hidden beneath her calm smile. She had returned, yes, but something in her life seemed broken. That evening, as they parted, Hera said softly, "Maybe fate wanted us to meet again, Ian. But there are things you don't know." Ian stood still, watching her walk away just like she had years ago. But this time, he felt that her story wasn't ending, it was just beginning again. What secrets was Hera carrying? And could their love survive what fate had planned this time? The days after their reunion felt like a dream to Ian. Seeing Hera again after a decade stirred every memory he had buried deep inside. But he couldn't ignore the unease in her eyes, the weight she carried behind her smiles. One afternoon, Hera asked to meet him at the old park, the same place where they once sat together as teenagers, dreaming about the future. Ian arrived early, his heart racing like it had years ago. When she finally came, her expression was different, serious, almost fragile. "Ian," she began softly, her voice trembling, "I owe you the truth." He looked at her, waiting. She took a deep breath and continued. The day I left, it wasn't because I wanted to. My father had already arranged my marriage. I begged him to let me choose, but he didn't listen. I was young, helpless, and I couldn't fight him. Her words struck Ian like thunder. His fists tightened, but he stayed silent, his eyes fixed on hers. I tried to reach out, she whispered, but my letters never reached you. And after marriage, my life was never mine. My husband, he wasn't the man I thought he would be. He was cold, controlling. I stayed for my family's honor, but in the process, I lost myself. Tears welled in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. I left him, Ian. It wasn't easy, but I couldn't keep living a lie. That's why I'm here now, back in this town, trying to find myself again. Ian's chest tightened. For years, he thought she had simply walked away, choosing a different life. But now he saw the truth, the pain she had endured, the battles she had fought in silence. Hira, he said softly, his voice breaking, you should have told me. I would have stood by you, no matter what. Her eyes glistened as she shook her head. I didn't want to drag you into my storm. You deserved peace, not the chaos my life became. For a moment, they sat quietly, only the rustling leaves filling the air. And in that silence, something shifted between them. The wounds of the past began to heal, replaced by an unspoken promise that maybe, just maybe, fate was giving them another chance. But neither of them knew, new challenges were waiting just around the corner, ready to test their love once again. After their heartfelt conversation, Ian and Hira began meeting more often. Old wounds slowly faded, replaced by the warmth of rediscovered love. For the first time in years, Ian felt complete, as though the emptiness he carried was finally healing. But life, as always, was not so simple. Rumors began to spread in the small town. People whispered about Hira's failed marriage and questioned her closeness with Ian. Some disapproved, others judged, but the harsh words didn't stop there. One evening, Ian's own relatives confronted him. She left you once, his uncle warned, and now she's divorced. Think about your future, Ian. Do you really want to carry her past as your burden? The words cut deep, but Ian's resolve only grew stronger. Her past doesn't define her, he replied firmly. What matters is who she is now, and who we are together. Still, the pressure mounted. Hira herself began to feel the weight of society's eyes. One evening, sitting by the riverside, she whispered, Ian, maybe we shouldn't, maybe it's better if we don't fight this battle. I don't want to ruin your reputation. Ian looked at her, his eyes unwavering. Reputation means nothing if I lose you again. I loved you before the world tried to take you away, and I love you even now. This time, I won't let anyone decide for us. His words touched Hira deeply, but the fear in her heart remained. She had learned the hard way that love alone was not always enough against the world's cruelty. Days later, fate tested them again. Hira's father returned to the town after many years. His disapproval hadn't changed. When he discovered that Hira and Ian had rekindled their bond, his anger shook the house. You will not shame this family again, he thundered. A divorced woman does not get to rewrite her story. And you, he pointed at Ian, stay away from her. Hira's heart shattered. She had fought her whole life for freedom, yet here she was again, chained by expectations. She looked at Ian with teary eyes, torn between love and duty. That night, Ian stood alone under the same sky where their story began, wondering if fate was cruel enough to take her away once more. But deep down, he knew this time, he would fight for her, no matter the cost. The night after her father's outburst, Hira sat in her room, her heart torn apart. She had spent years fighting battles alone, but now Ian was here, ready to stand by her. The question was, did she have the strength to choose love over fear? The next morning, Ian came to meet her. His eyes carried both determination and pain. Hira, he said firmly, I won't let history repeat itself. 10 years ago, I was silent, and I lost you. But not this time. This time, I will fight for us. Tears welled in her eyes. Ian, what if we lose again? What if the world tears us apart? He gently held her hands, his voice steady. then let it. But at least we will know that we chose each other, not fear. That evening, in front of her father, Hira finally spoke the words she had been holding in for years. Her voice trembled, but her spirit was unshaken. Baba, I respected your decisions all my life, even when they broke me. But today, I choose mine. I choose Ayan. I choose happiness. If that is a mistake, then it is mine to make. Her father's face hardened, his pride refusing to bend. But Hira didn't falter. She had lived too long in silence. For once, she wanted to live for her own heart. Ayan stepped forward, his voice calm yet powerful. Sir, I cannot erase the past, but I can promise her a future built on respect and love. That's all I want to give her the life she deserves. The room was silent. The old man's pride battled with the truth in their eyes. Finally, though he didn't bless them, he didn't stop them either. And sometimes, silence is its own form of acceptance. Weeks later, Ayan and Hira stood together beneath the same rain where their story first began. This time, no fear, no secrets, no barriers. Just two hearts that had been tested by time and fate, choosing each other again. Hira looked at him with a smile that carried both sorrow and joy. We lost years, Ayan, but maybe destiny wanted us to find each other when we were strong enough to fight for it. He pulled her close, whispering, this time, Hira, it's forever. And as the rain fell softly around them, their love, once broken, once lost, finally became whole again. Because true love, no matter how many storms it faces, always finds its way back home.